Let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everyone that's here in our temporary chambers and all those out in TV land. I've asked Councilman Beck to give us, did I ask you to give the opening prayer last time?
No.
Would you give us an opening
Yes.
prayer? Thank you. I knew I could ask you to do something.
Our dear Father in heaven, we're thankful for the opportunity to gather tonight, and we're thankful for the blessings in our lives. We're thankful to live in this beautiful city of Spanish Fork, and we pray that thy blessings and spirit will be over us. We're thankful for all the people that serve and make our community as great of a place to live as it is. We pray that thou would bless us tonight to make good choices and wise decisions, and we pray that we will be able to return home safely as when the time comes. And we say this in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I've asked Councilman Argyle to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise. Repeat the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Let's move down to public comments. Anyone here from the public that'd like to address the mayor and the council, that'd like to come up here and state your name, and you got 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Steve Robertson, and I knew Steve Leifson. We were in First Ward together, although back then we were much skinnier.
Thank you.
And much goofier. Anyway, I'm representing the Support Your Local Police Committee. It's a committee supported by the John Birch Society. And I have a magazine to pass out today. And I didn't realize I only have 6. So, okay, one. I think I'm still short one then. There's a group that's trying to nationalize our police, and we want to keep our police local, and we don't want to allow them to become a federal police force, as is happening right now. So there are groups sponsoring a war on our local police, and we just want to keep them local. If I can just read the last paragraph of the introduction. It says, to thwart this planned agenda, supporting our local police and keeping them independent is vital, and so is informing fellow citizens about what is really going on. We therefore encourage you to read this special report, to carefully consider the evidence compiled therein, and to become involved. So, I wanted to make sure we inform our city council of some things that are going on. And also, a lot of people, when they hear that I'm with the John Birch Society, tend to choke. And so I've included a little booklet here called John Birch Society, Reality versus Myth, inside the magazine. And I'd encourage you all to read it. I know you're very busy, and but these things are, we're fighting a war for our independence and liberty and freedom, even right here at our city level. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate that. If you want to just give that to Seth, and then he'll make sure they get out to everybody. Anyone else that'd like to address the mayor or the council? All right, seeing none, let's go to council comments. Councilman Argyle.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have anything at this time.
Councilman Gordon.
Thank you, Mayor. Solid waste meeting last week with the South Utah Valley Solid Waste District. We discussed, as our plans have come all but done for the off-site and the utilities, all those plans, and we've secured all of the right-of-ways that are needed. Got a good update on the facility. The square footage has shrunk a little bit on the building, and that's good for cost savings. Every little bit's going to help, and we're just excited to continue to see that progress. I was asked to be the chairman for another 2 years of that board, and gladly accepted that role, so we'll continue doing that. The Water Quality Board met last week as well. We listened to funding requests from Mountain Green, Price, the Price River District, and Payson. And the only reason I mention that is because it's interesting to see, as I've mentioned before, the planning that Spanish Fork has done to get sewer rates where they need to be in order to plan and prepare for our new facility, which is another meeting that Chad and I were able to Zoom. Well, Chad was in person, I was on Zoom, and discussed a lot of the design aspects of the new wastewater facility. And I believe Chad was able to do a tour of the site after, but I was on Zoom, so did not do that. But excited to see the progress for that facility as well. It just feels like there's a lot of construction going on in our town, and part of the growth monster that's there. And I'm just grateful that we're ahead of it and planning and doing everything we need to. So kudos to the Public Works Department, Chris. Thank you for all you guys are doing there. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Great. Councilman Mendenhall.
Thanks, Mayor. I had a couple of Rotary meetings since our last meeting here. One that was of consequence was with Dr. Greg Hudnall, that has been instrumental in the Active and Healthy program, but also the Hope Squad around here in our youth, in our schools, and talked to the Rotary Club members as gatekeepers to help us deal more fully with the mental health aspect of our citizens, especially with our teen population, and how to prevent any more tragedies of suicide in our community and surrounding communities. So it was a good hour spent with the Rotary Club members and Dr. Hudnall, and we appreciate his time, and we'll continue forth with the members and being trained in QPR training and everything else that comes along with it. So a pretty good meeting last week with the Rotary Club. The Chamber of Commerce, President Jesse Cardin's here. I don't know if there's anything he wants to say. He's shaking his head no. Okay. It looks like Skiba Auto Repair is our business of the month, right? So we're going to celebrate with them on Thursday. So look for that in a more virtual setting. I'm sure a few of us will be down there to give them the award. But Norm Skiba and the family down there have been longtime members of the business community. If you haven't noticed, drive by if you need a chuckle. Their marquee sign's pretty good every single week, changing it up, and they're a good place to not only get a chuckle of their sign, but get your car repaired. So we're excited to honor them as chamber members this week. The Utah League of Cities and Towns has had a few meetings. The legislative session is in full swing, so weekly LPC meetings to discuss different bills or bill files opened that will affect us as residents and us as city leaders. So different session this year, obviously, so I'd encourage everybody, as much as you can, participate. You can participate via Zoom with the legislature, but you can also watch all the different sessions on www.le.utah.gov and see what's going on for the next month and a half up on Capitol Hill. And we'll continue to watch it as league members and policy committee members here in the city to make sure we're trying to represent you as residents here in Spanish Fork. That's all I have, Mayor.
Great. Councilman Scobes.
Mayor, I have nothing to report at this time.
Great. Councilmember Beck.
I also have nothing at this time.
Wonderful. All right, then. If that's the case, let's move into Spanish Fork 101. New schedules for garbage and recycling pickup.
Good evening. So a couple of things with in Spanish Fork 101. First
You might want to let everybody know
is
who
our
you
new
are.
garbage and recycling pickup. I'm Nick Porter, the Public Information Officer.
Thank you.
I'm going to tag team this with Chris Thompson, our Public Works Director, in just a moment. So starting on February 15th, the city, we will be moving from a 2-day pickup to a 4-day pickup. This means that most of our residents will be getting a new garbage day. And like I said, that starts February 15th. So recognize that many people have had the same garbage day for a lot of years, and this will be a big change. So we'll get into kind of our communications plan. I'll show you the map of the changes. But first, I want to go over the why. Right now, 7,684 recycle cans are picked up every other week. And on a weekly basis, we have 13,842 garbage cans that are currently picked up in 2 days. So spreading those out to 4 days will allow for better service. It also affects a lot of Utah County. And so I'll turn the time over to Chris for just a minute to talk about that change on a broad perspective and what this load leveling concept means.
Okay, one of the things that Brandon Gordon talked about is this transfer station that we are constructing. And one of the things that we had to do when we were designing the transfer station is decide how big it needed to be for future growth. And if all of the trash from Spanish Fork only comes on 2 days, then you have to design it for the size of those 2 days worth of trash, which would give you a lot higher peak than if we spread it out over 4 days, and then the transfer station can receive smaller loads each of the 4 days and not have to be as big. And that saves quite a bit of money in this cost of building a transfer station. Any questions on that? There's a few residents that kind of are pushing back a little bit, saying, oh, I like my garbage to be picked up on Monday because it's after the weekend. But there's really a big purpose and reason to do this. So thanks.
Thanks, Chris. So this is the new map with the 4 areas of the city. This was mailed out in the newsletter to each of the residents, and we'll be sharing this in other ways as well. But this, the schedule that it's been, has been, Monday has been kind of the red and green have mostly been on Monday, and through the middle has been Tuesday pickup. So there'll be some that have Monday pickup that will stay on Monday, but really the majority of the other residents will have a new garbage day starting on February 15th. So our communications plan, we've tried to be very deliberate in getting the word out, and when we've got the word out, it went in the February newsletter. A postcard came to each home from Republic Services that said, this is your new garbage day. Most residents should have received that in the last couple of days. We've put the map up on social media, and we'll continue to do that. We'll be hosting a Facebook Live next Wednesday to talk a little bit about what Chris has mentioned and the purpose behind this, and also a little bit on some recycling education and some just good reminders overall. And then through our Everbridge system, which is our emergency alert system, we'll be able to send an email and a text message to every utility account holder, letting them know about the change. We plan to do that a week in advance, and then as a courtesy the night before their change day to say, this is your new pickup day is tomorrow, please have your cans out by 7 a.m. I also talked with Pete Hansen with SF17, and we'll be putting a commercial together to run for the next couple of weeks through that avenue as well. So we've really tried to hit every resident in a way that they like to communicate and let them know that this change is coming, because we know for some people it'll be a very big change. Some people that have been in the habit for years of putting it out Sunday night or Monday night, and now we're asking them to change. Any other questions on garbage and recycling pickup day change?
I've had a couple ask if they could make the map zoomable. Is that?
Yes, we are working on that. There's actually a small portion of the city that's not on. This map is from Republic, and they're missing that. I'm working with our GIS division to update a map and also get it online on the Government Services website. So soon we should have the capability where you can go to our Government Services website map, type in your address, and it'll tell you what day your new collection day is. So we're working through a couple of bugs with that, but that should be up shortly.
One side benefit to having a 4-day map, and if you wouldn't mind going back, if you can, to having this 4-day map is today, if you don't put your garbage can out on Monday, you can usually get them to come by and pick it up on Tuesday, because today there is garbage pickup on Monday and Tuesday in town. But if you're a Tuesday individual and you forget to put your can out, there's really no reprieve, because on Wednesday they're in some other town, the trucks aren't here. So it actually provides a better level of customer service for those oopses that do occur seemingly always. Not for me every day, but for you one week and me one week and so on. So this does provide a better level of service. And it does cause some change, but it is an adjustment that will make the transfer station significantly better. Going there on a Monday is unreal. Don't do it. Yeah. Don't do it, right?
And as I've looked at the map, there may be just a very small handful that actually go from Tuesday to Monday. The majority are going to a day later in the week. So even if they somehow miss all of the communications we're sending out, if they put their can out Sunday night and their day is Thursday, they won't have been missed. They just will have it out 3 days early that week. So.
Wind blow it over.
Oh yeah. So with this change, the recycling week will be shifting. So we'll have back-to-back recycling weeks next week, the week of February 8th, and the following week, the week of February 15th. And then it'll go every other week from that point. So there was no recycling pickup today or yesterday. There will be next week. And then we'll get on a new recycling schedule and have 2 weeks in a row of recycling pickup on the 8th and the 15th, and then again on March 1st. So I have the next 101 item too, which is our recap of the Shop Local program. We're really excited of how this program went and got a lot of positive feedback from residents and from businesses. So in November, we mailed out 11,776 voucher cards for a grand total of $883,200. That's what we sent out to the residents. That totals to 35,528 individual vouchers, because each mailer had 3 $25 cards. What our goal was, as we were thinking about this program and looking at some other cities in South Utah County that participated in a similar program before we did, based on those numbers and what we thought we could do, our goal was a 50% redemption rate with the hope that we could get 60. And if we fell within that range, we knew that we would have been successful in getting money out into our local economy. The deadline to turn in vouchers businesses had was on Monday, February 1st, and 26,540 vouchers were redeemed. That totals over 663,000, and it's actually a 75% redemption rate. And that's without fudging numbers. So we're super thrilled that of the participation of both businesses and residents in this program, and getting the money from the CARES Act to the residents and to local businesses.
When Nick says fudging numbers, he's quoting me. On Friday, when I was looking at this, knowing that he'd be presenting, we were about 74.28% or something like that. Round up or round down, and I wanted so badly to get to 75 because it's such a great number. Obviously, had.
No rounding involved.
There you go. Good job.
So initially, we had 245 businesses that applied to be a part of the program that were put on our website as participants. We had 184 unique businesses that were able to redeem vouchers. And so most of the ones on the list were patronized by residents and were able to get some vouchers and then bring them in to the city. So 47% of the vouchers that were redeemed came from food service. That's the yellow part of the graph. We also had a few other categories. General retail, we had quite a few in our automotive vouchers that got turned in, as well as some in healthcare, some professional services, which include hair, salons. So there was a broad participation. The food service was 317,000. With the high score, we had one business that turned in $44,000 worth of vouchers, the highest overall and in the food service category. Just a couple other categories. General retail was almost $250,000. We broke that down and looked at bookstores, and the bookstores in town generated nearly $90,000 with the vouchers. And automotive, which includes both automotive repair as well as some of the gas station convenience stores, just over $73,000. So I just wanted to end with a couple of quotes from businesses and a couple of stories. So this one responded and said, "I've been in business in Spanish Fork for 38 years. This program made a noticeable difference in our business." Another received 3,300 in vouchers and loved the program. She said, "It was a success for my salon. The clients loved it, my stylist loved it, and I loved it. Every voucher was not only income, but we did not have to pay a credit card processing fee. So thank you, Spanish Fork." Other stories have been told of businesses that gave vouchers back, took the discount and gave vouchers back to the residents so they could spend at other places. And we had one business on Friday that came in with nearly $4,000 worth of vouchers. And they said, "We want to donate this money to the city." And we said, "Well, we're donating this to the businesses." And they said, "No, we want to do that." And so we're working with them to put that money into the utility assistance fund to again help those in our community who are in need. So this was a great program. A huge thank you to the businesses that participated, to the different staff members that were involved in both the inception and execution of this program, and just very thrilled with the success that we had.
You might note, too, that we had a few of our larger businesses, we asked them not to participate. One of them said, "Hey, we want the people to know that, we chose not to be in it," but they asked us not to because we were doing very well during this COVID-19, and so we were trying to get it to those businesses that needed it. So we need to make note to those bigger businesses that chose not to be in it. We asked them not to be in it because of that.
That's right, and we worked with the chamber to do that. There were 5, and we've mentioned those as we kind of announced the program, that were Lowe's, Costco, Macy's, and both Walmarts. That as we approached them and said, "We're doing this program, we'd like you," the purpose is for some of these smaller businesses, and they graciously declined to join the program. And like you said, Mayor, we're very grateful that they were a part of it in a way that's unseen by many.
Exactly.
So that's all I have, unless there are any other questions on the program or anything that Dave or Seth would like to add.
Great. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Appreciate that great success story there. All right, consent items.
Motion to approve the consent items.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilman Mendenhall. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. New business. Ordinance 01-21, authorizing amendment to the construction standards of the city.
Okay, we're proposing a few construction standards updates here. I just we'll go through the significant ones really quickly. The first one is a lot of times we'll have a water line into a development and it'll be a dead-end line. And at some point we need that line to loop through the development. And in the past we've just said as soon as you get to 50 homes, we want the loop. But we've added a few more sophisticated guidelines for that, which say pressures have to be accounted for, and other factors that might involve the velocity of the water in the pipes and some fire flow protection type things. And so that's in there. The next thing is we move some pipe out of the storm drain standard. That doesn't really work well for that. And with the invention of some newer, better pipes that we want to use. When a property is redeveloped and less than 20% of that property is changed and become impervious, we're not going to require any LID requirement on that property. It's very difficult to do anyway if you're just kind of remodeling the property. This standard revision adds some dark sky lighting standards, so that will be required in the city. It modifies the distance in commercial areas, makes them a little bit more lighter than in a residential neighborhood. We just narrowed up the spacing of streetlights a little bit in commercial areas, and then worked on a bunch of water standards drawings, and then there's two more things that we're kind of excited about. One is we've noticed, especially in commercial industrial areas, the corners the radius of the corners could be made a little bit bigger so that the bigger trucks can get around it without driving over the corners. So we've made that radius a little bit larger. And then finally, we've come up with some excavation permit guidelines and road closure fees that will require if a developer or a contractor is going to shut down a road, then there's actually a fee involved, which will encourage that contractor to get the work done in that road sooner than later and not spend a lot of time there. We've had a few road closures, particularly on old county roads that were now in the city, and the concern is if there's not some penalty, some financial penalty for keeping it closed for a long time, how do we know that it's been closed unnecessarily for too long? And so that's been put in the standards. With that standard change, though, you'll see in the budget, in this next revision, a list of fees attached to the different types of closures that you'll see. And so those will go together. The standard actually just refers to the budget for what those fees will be. Anyway, any questions on any of those? Okay.
Okay. Seeing no questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I move we approve ordinance 01-21, authorizing amendments to the construction standards of the city.
Second.
So I've got a motion by Councilman Scobes, a second by Councilmember Beck. This is a roll call vote, so Councilman Scobes.
Aye.
Councilman Mendenhall.
Aye.
Councilman Gordon.
Aye.
Councilmember Beck.
Aye.
Councilman Argal.
Aye.
That passes. Resolution 21-03, golf course cart lease agreement.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I can't believe it's been 4 years already since we leased the last set of carts. Time goes by fast, doesn't it? You guys were all here. So it's time. It is time for us to renew our lease. And Ryan Reese, our golf professional, came and presented to you guys our proposal in a work session a few weeks ago. So let me just highlight a couple of things here. We went through the regular RFP process, sent it out to the 3 potential vendors, Club Car, Yamaha, and E-Z-Go. We had a lot of issues this last 4 years with Yamaha in terms of a lot of their systems, things that didn't work on the carts, service issues. But there's some new technology obviously with the lithium-ion battery that we're intrigued by that I think is going to work better for our course. A lot of advantages to that. There's really two vendors that we were considering. So we had Club Car and E-Z-Go, and we've chosen to go with the E-Z-Go car with the lithium-ion battery. They've been doing it for a longer time than any of the others with this setup. It has a more proven track record. The battery will actually go 54 holes on a charge. We're lucky right now if we get 18 holes on ours, sometimes 36. Also it has a nice IntelliBrake braking system, which is going to be a lot safer with a lot of the hills and things that we have. The front end's more durable. We've had that looked at by our city employees and inspected. Maintenance people, more room in the seating area and the floor space, and also there's some outstanding references from courses who have gone to these. Now this is our first time with E-Z-Go, which is why you have so many documents in your packet. I'm sure all of you read every word. Yes. But this is our first time using them, and so there's a lot of documents that have to go back and forth. But the lease for this is, as you see there, is $64,241.93 per year. This will be a 5-year lease, which is normally we've done 4 years, but the guarantee on these batteries are 5 years, so we're going to go a 5-year lease with this. All the documentation is attached in your package, but because this is new, they've asked us to, or they put a resolution in there. We don't normally do a resolution for a lease agreement, but Vaughn was gracious enough to look through this and go over it and use the template that we usually use for a resolution. And so rewrote that, and Kent did a lot of the paperwork and transaction trying to get credit applications and things back and forth. But staff recommends that you approve this this lease with E-Z-Go, and we can get on with the golf season, which I understand started today.
The weather works today.
What day are we? February what?
Yeah, geez.
It's Groundhog Day. Did he see the shadow or not? Did he
saw
see it? Well, I hope so, because we need some snow. At least in the mountains, right?
So
We
is there
need
any
some
question
water.
for Dell? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move we approve Resolution 21-3, golf course cart lease agreement.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Mendenhall and a second by Councilman Scobes. This also is a roll call vote. Councilman Mendenhall.
Aye.
Councilman Gordon.
Aye.
Councilmember Beck.
Aye.
Councilman Argal.
Aye.
Councilmember Scobes.
Aye.
Get them done. Get them here. Okay. Number 9, Open and Public Meeting Acts Training.
You ready for a deep dive into the Open Public Meetings Act?
Yes.
I'm kidding. Does it feel like Groundhog Day? Have you had this presentation before, once or twice?
Yep.
Yep, that's right. It is a good movie. Well, and it's not just because it is Groundhog Day, but you've heard this here. You might sit on other boards and things. You probably get a similar training. So I apologize for that, but it's a requirement. A public body. So the Open Public Meetings Act applies to a public body, and that's any body that is an administrative, advisory, executive, or legislative body. And they have to meet certain things that they're created by some type of rule or law. And they consist of 2 or more persons and are authorized to expend and disperse funds or supported by tax revenue. And they are vested with authority to make decisions regarding the public's business. So certainly a city council meets all of those criteria. The Open Public Meetings Act applies to meetings of a public body. So what's a meeting? It's defined as the convening of a quorum of that public body. So for the city council, it's three members of the council, so they can transact some business. That even includes executive sessions, workshops, tours, things that are official business of that public body. But unintentional or random or chance social meetings do not violate the act. But you should try to keep those to a minimum so that you're not intentionally circumventing the rules of the act. You know, don't try to schedule this as a social meeting, for example, if you're intending to do some business. A public meeting requires an agenda and notice. The 24-hour notice. That's really all it's required is 24 hours. It's not much notice. Unless it's a special public hearing, like budget hearings require more time, land use public hearings require more time. But for a regular public meeting, it's only required a 24-hour notice. You have to post that notice in the public body's principal office. Posted on the Utah Public Notice website. This was created a few years ago for kind of a clearinghouse of all the notices of public bodies within the state. So we always post on there and deliver it to the newspaper. And the meeting notice must contain the agenda of what's to be discussed and acted upon, and state the date, time, and place of the meeting. Now, electronic meetings have become a big part of our lives, especially this past year. They are authorized in the Open Public Meetings Act, and any meeting can be an electronic meeting. You could just do a phone conference or a web, or like a Zoom or a Google Meet meeting, or all those different providers that are out there. They have to be authorized by a resolution. The city has authorized electronic meetings already by an ordinance. And the requirements of the act apply equally to electronic meetings as they do to public meetings, or to in-person meetings, I should say. They're all public meetings. They need to have a place where a person can attend. There is a provision in the Open Public Meetings Act where you do not have to have an anchor location. That was generated in response to the COVID pandemic. There's certain things you have to do if you don't want to hold an anchor location like we do here. You have to make a written determination that having an anchor location is risky to health and safety. You have to state the facts upon which that is based, and include that statement in the public notice, and read that statement at the beginning of the meeting. And finally, include directions for people. How do they participate? How do they view it? How do they make comments? So the governor had issued an executive order about that, but with this passage of the amendment to the Open Public Meetings Act, the governor then rescinded that executive order last year. Open meetings have to have minutes, written minutes, and an audio recording. They're required for all open meetings. You don't have to have an audio recording under certain limited circumstances. If you're doing a site visit, a tour, as long as you're not doing an official vote or official action is being taken. If you're really just touring the new school, for example, the minutes can just say, conducted a tour of the new school. You don't have to record everything that was said while you're on your tour. The minutes and the audio recording must include the following things: the date, time, and place, obviously, who was present, who was absent of the members of the public body, what was discussed, kind of a summary. It doesn't have to be verbatim. It doesn't have to be a narrative. It could just be as simple as bullet points. I like the way our city does minutes. It's a good summary. It's not too much detail. It's not too little. And obviously the voting record of things that were voted upon. And then the name of each person that's provided a comment to the public body, and a brief summary of what their comments were about. And then any other information that you all might want to include in the record. So a member of the public body could say, please include this report in the official minutes. The minutes are the official record of the meeting. Now, the recording is also helpful, especially if maybe you're in litigation later on down the road. It's good to listen to the recording and see what was said, but the official record of what happened is the minutes themselves. And you have to establish a procedure for approving minutes. We do that. You do it really quickly. You approve your minutes at your next meetings. That's great. The minutes have to be available in a reasonable time, but the audio recording must be available within 3 business days for the public to examine, listen to. Now, we've talked up so far all about public meetings. Closed meetings is a lot of what the act is about as well. You can only have them if the quorum of the members in an open meeting vote to have a closed meeting. So you can't just have a closed meeting only. You have to first be in an open meeting and then vote to go into a closed meeting. 2/3 of the members must be present to vote and to approve of closing the meeting. And then the meeting minutes must specify the reason for going into the closed meeting and the location, and a record of votes of those who were for and against holding the closed meeting. Closed meetings can only be held for certain purposes, and you can't take any official action in the closed meeting. The closed meeting, the purposes, there's a list. Some don't apply to cities. They apply to different state public bodies. But for the city, you can hold them to discuss a person's character, professional competence, their mental or physical health. You can hold them for collective bargaining strategies, for pending or imminent litigation, strategies regarding real property, including water and water rights. Those are real property in Utah. Security issues. I think that's the main ones. Oh, investigation of an allegation of criminal misconduct. You could also discuss that about an individual. So those are your 6 main reasons. We've probably, in my career, the 2 most popular are probably real property and litigation. And probably a 3rd is health of an individual or character or competence of an individual. You have to have meeting minutes of a closed meeting. Audio is always required unless you're close it for one of these couple of reasons. If you're talking about the character, professional competence, or health of an individual, you do not have to have an audio recording of that, or for security personnel devices or systems. If the mayor signs an affidavit, that was the reason why you closed the meeting. And minutes are optional, but they're not required. If you violate the Open Meetings Act, the court can void any of the actions that were taken in violation of the Open Meetings Act. But the only criminal penalty attaches if you knowingly or intentionally violate the closed meeting parts of the act. So if you intentionally have a closed meeting to discuss something that's not a permitted reason, that could potentially be a criminal violation. Do you have any questions? Okey-doke.
Thanks, Juan. Any questions? If not, Councilman Gordon?
I move we go into closed session for reasonably imminent litigation and land transaction.
Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilman Argal. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you for everyone that was here.